The prairie was restless that evening, the wind carrying the scent of rain and the distant rumble of thunder. Cole was mending a broken fence post when he heard the sound. Soft, hesitant footsteps crunching through the tall grass behind him. He turned, hand instinctively brushing the handle of his revolver, but what he saw made him pause. A young woman stood at the edge of his field, her dress torn at the hem, her hair tangled by the wind. She looked lost, but there was a determination in her eyes that made Cole lower his guard. She didn't speak at first, just stood there, clutching a small satchel to her chest as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. Cole wiped his brow and approached slowly, careful not to spook her. "Evenin'," he said, his voice gentle. "You looking for someone?" She shook her head, her lips pressed tight. "No, sir. I need a place to rest, just for a little while." Her voice was soft, but there was a tremor in it, a note of desperation that Cole couldn't ignore. He nodded, gesturing toward the house. "You're welcome to sit a spell. Storm's coming and it's a long walk to town." She hesitated, then followed him, her steps slow and wary. Inside, Cole stoked the fire and set a kettle to boil, watching her from the corner of his eye. She sat on the edge of a chair, her hands twisting in her lap, her gaze fixed on the flames. After a while, Cole set a mug of tea in front of her. "Name's Cole," he offered. "You got a name?" She looked up, her eyes shining in the firelight. "It's Ruth," she said quietly. "Ruth Harper." They sat in silence, the only sound the crackle of the fire and the distant roll of thunder. Cole waited, sensing she needed time. Finally, Ruth spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know I shouldn't be here. Folks in town, they don't trust strangers. But I didn't know where else to go." Cole shook his head. "You're safe here. I don't turn folks away when they're in need." Ruth nodded, her shoulders sagging with relief. She took a sip of tea, her hands still trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. The storm broke outside, rain lashing against the windows. Ruth flinched at the sound, her eyes darting to the door. Cole noticed, but said nothing. He'd learned that sometimes the best way to help was just to listen. After a long silence, Ruth spoke again, her voice trembling. "I know you don't know me, but please, just listen." Cole nodded, his gaze steady. "I'm listening." She took a deep breath, her fingers tightening around the mug. "I came from the east, from a place called Willow Creek. My family, they're gone now. Fever took my parents, and my brother left for California. I was alone, so I took work where I could, cooking, cleaning, anything to keep a roof over my head. But last month, the man I worked for accused me of stealing. I didn't do it, but no one believed me. They ran me out of town with nothing but this satchel and the clothes on my back." Her voice broke and she looked away, blinking back tears. Cole felt a surge of anger on her behalf, but he kept his voice calm. "I'm sorry, Ruth. Folks can be cruel when they're scared." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I just want a chance to start over. I'm not asking for charity, just a place to work, to prove I'm not what they say I am." She looked at Cole, hope flickering in her eyes. "Please, just listen. That's all I ask." Cole sat back, studying her. He saw the exhaustion in her face, the stubborn hope that refused to die. He nodded slowly. "You've got that chance here, Ruth. I'll listen, and I'll help, if you'll let me." Outside, the storm raged on, but inside, something gentle and new began to take root. A fragile trust, born from the simple act of listening. The storm battered the little house, thunder shaking the windows and rain drumming on the roof. But inside, the fire's glow softened the world. Ruth sat quietly, her hands wrapped around the mug, her shoulders slowly relaxing as the warmth seeped in. Cole busied himself with small chores, setting out bread and cheese, checking the locks, making sure the lanterns were full. He didn't press her for more, letting her find her own pace. After a while, Ruth spoke again, her voice steadier. "I used to think the world was a kind place. My mother always said, if you do good, good will come back to you. But after Willow Creek, I'm not so sure." She looked at Cole, searching his face for judgment. "Do you think people can change, Mr. Cole? Or are we just what the world says we are?" Cole sat down across from her, his expression thoughtful. I've seen folks change, Ruth. I've seen men do terrible things and then spend the rest of their lives trying to make it right. And I've seen good people get broken by lies. But I believe everyone deserves a chance to prove who they really are. Ruth nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Thank you. I needed to hear that. She took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. I can work hard. I can cook, mend, tend the garden. I just want to belong somewhere again. Cole smiled gently. You're welcome to stay as long as you need. There's always work to be done on a ranch, and I could use the help. Relief washed over Ruth's face, and for the first time she managed a small, genuine smile. The hours passed quietly. Ruth helped Cole prepare supper, her movements careful but practiced. She set the table, humming softly, and Cole found himself listening to the melody, a simple tune that reminded him of better days. They ate together, the silence between them comfortable, broken only by the occasional crackle of the fire. After supper, Ruth washed the dishes while Cole read by the fire. The storm outside began to fade, the thunder rolling off into the distance. Ruth finished her chores and sat by the window, watching the rain. It's strange, she said softly, how a storm can make you feel so small, and yet so safe at the same time. Cole nodded, understanding more than he could say. Sometimes, it takes a storm to wash away what's past, give you a clean start. Ruth looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. You're a good man, Cole. I wish there were more like you. He shrugged, a little embarrassed. Just trying to do right by folks. That's all any of us can do. As the night deepened, Ruth grew quiet, her eyelids heavy. Cole showed her to the spare room, making sure she had blankets and a lamp. If you need anything, just holler, he said. She nodded, her voice soft. Thank you, Cole, for listening, for believing me. Cole sat by the fire long after she'd gone to bed, thinking about all she'd said. He wondered how many others had been cast out, their stories untold, their voices unheard. He made a silent promise to himself, to always listen, to always give someone a chance, no matter what the world said. Outside, the storm finally passed, leaving the prairie washed clean and quiet. Inside, Ruth slept for the first time in weeks without fear, her dreams filled with hope instead of dread. And Cole, watching the embers glow, felt something shift inside him, a sense that maybe, just maybe, kindness could change the world, one act at a time. Morning broke clear and bright, the prairie sparkling with dew, the air fresh and full of promise. Ruth woke early, sunlight streaming through the window, and for a moment she simply lay still, listening to the quiet. No angry voices, no hurried footsteps chasing her away, just the gentle sounds of a ranch waking up. She dressed quickly and found Cole already outside, feeding the horses, his silhouette framed by the rising Sunday. Morning, she called, her voice shy but hopeful. Cole looked up, a smile creasing his weathered face. Morning, Ruth. Hope you slept well. She nodded, joining him at the fence. Better than I have in a long time. Together, they worked through the morning chores, feeding chickens, gathering eggs, hauling water from the well. Ruth moved with a quiet determination, eager to prove herself, and Cole watched her with growing respect. After breakfast, Cole saddled his horse and invited Ruth to ride with him to the edge of the property. There's a patch of wildflowers out by the creek, he said. Thought you might like to see it. Ruth hesitated, then accepted, her heart lifting at the simple kindness. They rode in companionable silence, the prairie stretching wide and green around them. At the creek, Ruth knelt to pick a handful of flowers, her laughter ringing out as a butterfly landed on her hand. Cole watched her, feeling a warmth he hadn't known in years. You remind me of my sister, he said quietly. She always believed in second chances, too. Ruth looked up, her eyes soft. Maybe that's what we're all looking for, a place to start over, someone to believe in us. They rode back to the ranch, the sun high and warm. As they approached the house, a wagon rattled up the lane, two men from town, their faces set and unfriendly. Cole's jaw tightened. Stay behind me, he murmured. The men dismounted, glancing at Ruth with suspicion. "Heard you were harboring a thief, Cole," one said. "We're here to take her back. If you are enjoying the story, then please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more stories. Also comment from where you are watching." Cole stood tall, his voice calm but firm. "She's no thief. She's under my protection. If you've got proof, show it. Otherwise, you're trespassing." The men exchanged glances, uncertain. Ruth stepped forward, her voice steady. "I didn't steal anything. I was blamed because I was alone, because I was different. But I won't run anymore." The men hesitated, then turned and left, muttering under their breath. Cole watched them go, pride swelling in his chest. Ruth let out a shaky breath, relief and gratitude mingling in her eyes. "Thank you, Cole, for standing up for me." He smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You stood up for yourself, Ruth. That's what matters." As the days passed, Ruth found her place on the ranch. She worked hard, laughed often, and slowly, the shadows of her past faded. The townsfolk, seeing her kindness and honesty, began to change their minds. One by one, they offered small gestures of acceptance: a loaf of bread, a friendly wave, a place at the church supper. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of color, Ruth sat on the porch beside Cole, her heart full. "You listened when no one else would," she said softly. "You gave me a chance when I had nothing left." Cole nodded, his eyes gentle. "Sometimes, all a person needs is to be heard. Sometimes, that's enough to change everything." And as the stars blinked awake above the prairie, Ruth knew she'd found more than shelter. She'd found a home, and a friend who had listened, truly listened, when it mattered most.